Hey guys, konnichiwa minasan, this is Missimo Orahara, and in this video, we're going to talk about something important related to the Sacred Swords, the Issei clan as well as Ichibei Zanpakuto, Ichimonji, and what connects all of this to Ryo and the process of his dismemberment. Years ago, I spoke about the Sacred Swords and their origins, but at the time, the anime didn't exist. Now the anime has provided us with new details, especially with Ryo's mysterious flashback, which confirmed the existence of a sword linked to Ryo. Additionally, there is a new scene in Anao's flashback that wasn't in the manga. So these are all factors made me rethink the matter of the Sacred Swords and whether they played a particular role in what happened to Ryo, specifically the cutting of his parts. And to start guys, let's talk a little bit about the concept of sacred swords. Although there isn't clear unified information about these swords as a concept, based on what we have seen, we can identify common points shared by this type of swords. And the first thing we can say is that they aren't tied to a single person. For example, ordinary Zanpakuto are known to belong to one person, and two people can't use the same Zanpakuto. This is simply because the sword reflects the essence of a person's soul, so it wouldn't be possible for someone else to use the Zanpakuto's abilities in a natural or normal way. Of course, there are exceptions like Tosen, who managed to use some abilities of Kakyo's Zanpakuto, but over time the Zanpakuto rewrote itself with Tosen's soul essence. And this isn't the case with sacred swords. These swords hold a specific power that exists within them from the beginning and is passed down from generation to generation. For example, take the Tsuneyashiro family, which is one of the 5 great noble families. It's known that they possess a sacred sword called Hakkyoken. And as Tokinada mentioned, alongside granting this family the privilege of ruling history, most likely the history of the Sword Society, they were also given the sacred sword Hakkyoken. And this sword is considered sacred because it is passed down, as we said, from generation to generation. However, it turns out that it too carries a curse. Anyone who have it will see their life shortened as their Konpaku is consumed. And this is why many of the Tsuneyashiro family leaders who came afterward prefer not to use that sword. In fact, the last leader of the family chose to hide it in a secret location before Tokinada eventually stole it. And the same concept applies to the Hakkyoken sword. As Kyoraku mentioned, Chu is passed down from generation to generation and also carries a curse. However, the difference here is that the members of the Issei clan don't have the ability to possess individual swords. Individual Zanpakutos. The only Zanpakuto they have is the one belonging to the family, which is inherited across generations. And this is the opposite with the Tsuneyashiro family, where members can have their own Zanpakuto if they become Shinigami. A prime example of this is Tokinada, who was a Shinigami and has his own Zanpakuto before it was confiscated due to the incident where he killed his wife, Kakyo. And another distinguishing feature of the Issei clan is that its members are all women. However guys, what can be said is that there is another significant feature, which is that the family of Issei is considered a clan of monks. Additionally, their sword has the ability to confront entities like Ryo. The sword can reflect his power and scatter it in all directions. And this is its specific ability, as it isn't a blade meant for cutting but rather for reflection power. And if we take a closer look at this, we'll find it resembles Ichibei's case. Ichibei is also introduced as a monk, actually the highest priest, and if we can put it in that way, this is even clear in his appearance as he resembles a Buddhist monk. Add to this, he too has an unusual Zanpakuto. His sword also doesn't cut flesh, instead it cuts names. The sword's abilities are entirely focused on names, whether it's cutting them, erasing them, or assigning new ones. And this leads me to consider this possibility that Ichibei's Zanpakuto might also be a sacred sword. After all, Ichibei's lifespan is extraordinary long. He existed before the new worlds were formed. And the concept of the Zanpakuto as we know it only appeared in the last few thousand years. Adding to this, could Ichibei have a connection to the Issei family? Or monks in general? For example, Ichibei may be from a class of monks who perform specific rituals capable of controlling someone like Reio. And this is because when you read the definition of the Hakkyoken's ability, you will find definitely that it is a power designed specifically for someone like Reio. Because the method we saw used to dismember his limbs gives this impression that his attack may have been reflected using the Hakkyoken sword. And I mean here the attack he used to split the worlds. It's clear that he also possessed a special sword, and if you look closely, the way he held it, it was similar to how the Issei family leader holds their sword. If this means anything, it reflects the sword's sacred nature, its power and what it's capable of doing. And actually this is the power of this kind of swords. For example, Inner Hakkyoken can copy the abilities of Zanpakuto. The Issei sword reflected Ryo's power. Meanwhile, it can be said that Ryo's sword had the ability to destroy hollows and potentially split the old world. And I can even add Ichimonji to this mix, with its power to control names, whether by cutting, erasing, or assigning new ones, as we have said. That's why, guys, I wonder, could Ichibei have played a role in the process of dismembering Reio? Yes, I know that it was stated in the novel that this process was carried out by the ancestors of the noble families and that Ichibei himself had no role. However, Ichibei might have lied or altered the facts. That's why we need the truth about what exactly happened. As I said, it's possible that the Hakkyoken sword was the reason behind what happened to Reio. But if this is true, who used it in the first place? And here several ideas and possibilities come to mind. For example, maybe one of the ancestors used the Hakkyoken's power to cut Reio, or perhaps Ichibei himself, or with the help of someone else did it. An example could be that an ancestor of the Issei clan, who was likely a woman, reflected Ryo's power and dismembered him as we saw. And because of this act, she may have received a curse that anyone close to her would die, and I mean her husband. And this curse was passed down to her descendants. Meanwhile, Ichibei's possible role may have been to erase Yhwach's power using ink. We saw in that scene how Yhwach was covered in black, and we know Ichibei possesses all the blackness in the world. And of course someone might ask me if Ichimonji is a sacred sword, then what is its curse? Honestly, I have no idea. Everything surrounding Ichibei is mysterious, especially those scenes of him with Reio. It looked extremely suspicious and mysterious. However, guys, I do think that the Hakkyoken might have played a role in what happened to Reio in the past. Ichibei could have also had a part in this, but is he connected to the Hakkyoken or not? That remains a mystery. Another point worth discussion, guys. Were the secret sword's powers initially the abilities of people who possessed those powers within them and manifested them into swords for the first time? And as a result, the sword inherited the abilities of the person and passed them down through generations. And also, guys, what about the Zanpakuto or the sword of Reio? Where is it? As we mentioned, Ryo's sword existed. And in the final scene, we saw it in the right hand of the Soul King. Did it disappear? Or perhaps it ended up with one of the noble families, potentially the Shohin family. Let's not forget, guys, that this family is known as the guardians of the heavenly weapons or something like that. And thus, its location may be revealed in the future. In the end, guys, what do you think about this topic? What do you think about the Hakkyoken sword? And does it have a relationship with Ichibei? Tell me, guys, your opinions in the comments and see you in my next video.